Hey guys, I need to take a deep breath before I even start this. If you're here, thank you for clicking. I suddenly had severe abdominal pain and discharge. My husband, a good doctor in the area, said everything was normal and nothing was wrong. Until I went to see another doctor. The doctor said that my insides were ruined and I might never be able to have children. I was shocked, but the truth behind it really killed me. My name is Naomi Trent. I'm 32, and for the last 8 years, I thought I was living the dream every woman secretly wants. Big house, successful husband, the kind of marriage people post about with heart emojis. But the truth? It's been eating me alive, and I can't keep pretending anymore. So grab a coffee, turn the lights down, and let me tell you how everything I believed in shattered, starting with a pain I couldn't ignore. I wake up most mornings to the smell of fresh espresso drifting up the stairs. Cade is already in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, making my favorite oat milk latte with that little foam leaf he's perfected. He kisses the top of my head, says, "Morning, gorgeous," and I swear my heart still flips like we're 25 and on our third date. Cade Trent, physical therapist to pro athletes, guest speaker at medical conferences, the guy magazines call the body architect. He believes every ache, every misalignment can be fixed if you just commit to the right plan. And for years, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. Our house looks like a Pinterest board exploded in the best way. Soft grays, warm woods, plants everywhere. I'm an interior designer, so yeah, I'm proud of it. Friends come over for wine nights and always sigh, "You two are goals." Cade stands behind me with his arms around my waist, chin on my shoulder, and I feel safe. That's the word I always used, safe. Little did I know safe was the first lie. It started small, maybe 6 months ago. A dull ache low in my belly, like someone parked a bowling ball on my pelvis. I'd shift in my office chair and wince. Then my lower back joined the party, sharp stabs when I bent to pick up fabric samples. I chalked it up to stress. I had 3 client deadlines breathing down my neck. One night, I curled against Cade on the couch, hand on my stomach, and whispered, "Babe, something feels off." He didn't even look away from his laptop. "You're just tight from hunching over mood boards. Come to the studio tomorrow. I'll realign you." That was Cade's magic fix for everything. Realign, adjust, redesign. And because I trusted him, because he'd eased my migraines, my plantar fasciitis, my everything, I said, okay. The studio sits in a sleek brick building downtown, all glass and polished concrete. His private treatment room smells like eucalyptus and has those dimmable lights that make you feel like you're floating. 10 months ago, God, I remember the date because it was 2 days after my birthday, he suggested a quick pelvic floor tune-up under light sedation. "Nothing invasive," he said, squeezing my hand. "Just a little prop to hold the correction while you heal." I laughed, nervous, but I signed the consent form. I mean, he's my husband. He sees bodies every day. He knows what he's doing. They wheeled me in, mask over my face, and the last thing I remember is Cade brushing hair off my forehead, whispering, "Trust me, love." Fast forward to now. The pain isn't dull anymore. It's a constant throb, like something inside is clawing to get out. Some mornings I wake up and the sheets are damp. Not sweat, but this weird, sour discharge that makes me gag. I started wearing liners every day, even when I wasn't on my period. I'd stand in the shower scrubbing, convinced I was imagining the smell, but it clung to me like shame. I tried bringing it up again. "Cade, it's getting worse. Maybe I need to see someone else." He closed his tablet, gave me that patient smile therapists perfect, and said, "Naomi, you're catastrophizing. Stress inflames everything. Let me adjust you tonight." His hands on my hips felt clinical, not loving. I left the room feeling small. Grace noticed first. We meet every Thursday at the same corner cafe. 2 lattes, 1 blueberry muffin we split because we're watching our figures, but never actually do. Grace has been my ride or die since we were 8, and she punched a bully for stealing my crayons. She's a pediatric nurse. Zero filter, heart the size of Texas. That day, I kept shifting in the metal chair, biting my lip every time I moved. She narrowed her eyes. "Nay, talk. You look like you're sitting on a cactus." I laughed it off at first, but the words spilled out. Pain, smell, Cade's brush-offs. Her face went still. She reached across the table and grabbed my wrist so hard her nails left little crescents. "This isn't normal. Promise me you'll see a gynecologist. Like yesterday." I promised, but I didn't mean it. Cade is the expert? Why would I doubt him? That night he came home late, smelling faintly of antiseptic and someone else's perfume. Probably a client, I told myself. He kissed my cheek, asked about my day, then disappeared into his office. I stood outside the door, listening to the low hum of his voice on a call, something about final phase calibration. I shook it off. Designers get paranoid when clients ghost. Maybe therapists do too. But the pain kept talking louder. One morning, I doubled over tying my shoes, tears streaming, because it felt like my insides were on fire. I texted Grace. "I can't do this anymore." She replied instantly. "Dr. Suri Mayer, best in the city, I'll drive. No excuses." I stared at the message, thumb hovering. Cade was downstairs humming while he blended his protein shake. I pictured his face if I told him I was going behind his back. Then I pictured the blood-tinged goo in my underwear that morning. I typed back, "Pick me up at 2. Grace pulled up in her beat-up Honda, windows down, music blaring some throwback we used to scream in high school. She took one look at me, pale, hoodie up, even though it was 70 degrees, and killed the engine. "Get in. We're doing this." The waiting room at Dr. Mayer's clinic smelled like lavender and fear. My knees bounced so hard, the lady next to me moved seats. When they called my name, Grace squeezed my hand. "I'm right here." Dr. Suri Mayer is maybe 45, dark hair in a low bun, glasses that make her look like she can see straight through lies. She asked questions gently. "When did it start? Scale of 1 to 10. Any procedures? Any implants?" I answered honestly until the last one. "No implants," I said, and believed it. She had me change into a gown, feet in stirrups, the cold gel, the wand. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting water stains while she moved the probe. The room went quiet, except for the click-click of her mouse. Then she said, so softly I almost missed it, "Naomi, there's something in here that shouldn't be." Grace's hand found mine again, ice cold. Dr. Mayer turned the screen. A blurry gray mass, jagged edges, wrapped around what I guessed was my uterus, like ivy strangling a tree. She zoomed in. The edges pulsed slightly, almost alive. "It's polymer," she said, "expanding, infected. The odor you described. This is advanced." My mouth went dry. "I've never had anything put inside me," I whispered. "Not a coil, not an IUD, nothing." Grace's grip tightened until it hurt. Dr. Mayer's eyes flicked to the nurse, then back to me. "We need to schedule surgery immediately. And Naomi, the way this is adhered, the depth, this wasn't accidental. Someone placed it while you were unconscious." The room spun. Grace caught me before I slid off the table. Outside in the hallway, she held me while I ugly cried into her shoulder, snot and all. "We're figuring this out," she kept saying. "I swear we are." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan. Cade snoring softly beside me, his arm draped over my waist like nothing was wrong. My phone buzzed under the pillow. "Grace, surgery tomorrow 7 a.m. I'm picking you up at 6. Don't tell him yet." I typed back a thumbs up, then deleted it, typed it again. The fan kept spinning, slicing the moonlight into pieces. I closed my eyes, and all I could see was that gray mass pulsing on the screen, growing inside me like a secret I never agreed to keep. "Go get checked, Naomi." I'm afraid this isn't something minor. I'm sitting on my couch with the same blanket I wrapped around myself that morning because some memories just stick to objects. That text from Grace. Go get checked, Naomi. I'm afraid this isn't something minor. It kept flashing on my phone screen while Cade showered. I stared at it until the letters blurred. Then I grabbed my keys, left a note on the counter, running errands, love you, and slipped out before he finished. Grace was already idling at the end of our street, hazard lights blinking like a heartbeat. I slid into the passenger seat, and she didn't say a word, just handed me a travel mug of coffee and pulled away. The city blurred past, tall glass buildings, coffee carts, people jogging like nothing in the world could touch them. I kept my hoodie up, sunglasses on even though the sky was gray. My stomach churned so hard, I almost asked her to pull over. We're almost there, she said, voice steady. I nodded, but inside, I was screaming. Dr. Suri Mayer's clinic is tucked between a bakery and a yoga studio, one of those places that smells like clean cotton and hope. The receptionist smiled too wide, like she knew I was about to fall apart. Grace filled out the paperwork for me because my hands shook too much to hold a pen. When they called Naomi Trent, my legs felt like wet noodles. Grace walked me to the door, squeezed my arm, and whispered, "Text me the second you're done." I wanted to beg her to come in, but I just nodded. The exam room was cold, the paper on the table crinkling under me like dry leaves. Dr. Mayer came in, clipboard in hand, and asked the same questions I'd answered on the forms. I told her everything: the constant ache, the back spasms, the smell that made me want to burn my clothes. She listened without interrupting, eyes flicking between my face and the chart. Any surgeries? Implants? IUDs? I shook my head hard. Nothing. 10 months ago, my husband did a pelvic treatment under light sedation, but it was just manual therapy. She made a note, then had me lie back. The gel was ice, the wand pressure sharp. I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from crying out. The screen faced her, not me, but I heard the clicks, the soft hum of the machine. Minutes stretched like hours. Then she froze. "Naomi," she said, voice low, "I need you to stay calm." She turned the monitor. There it was, a dark, spidery blob clinging to the walls of my uterus, tendrils spreading like roots in bad soil. It pulsed faintly, almost breathing. "This is a polymer mass," she said. "It's expanded significantly, causing severe inflammation, the odor you mentioned, necrosis from tissue death." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Polymer? Inside me? I'd never even had a cavity filled without panicking. She zoomed closer. The edges looked jagged, like it had grown teeth. "It's adhering to your endometrial lining," she continued. "The infection is advanced. We need to remove this immediately." I finally found my voice. "How did it get there? I've never had anything put inside me." My words cracked on the last syllable. Dr. Mayer's eyes softened, but her tone stayed clinical. "The placement is too precise for accidental ingestion. Someone inserted this during a procedure, likely while you were unconscious." The room tilted. I gripped the table edges until my knuckles went white. Grace burst through the door the second the nurse opened it. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug so tight I could feel her heartbeat. "What is it?" she asked the doctor. Dr. Mayer explained again. "Polymer, expansion, illegal placement." Grace's arms went rigid around me. "You said 10 months ago, under sedation?" she asked me. I nodded, tears soaking her scrub top. "Cade's studio," I whispered. Grace's jaw clenched so hard I heard it click. She turned to Dr. Mayer. "Can you tell what it is? Where it came from?" The doctor shook her head. "Not without surgery and lab analysis, but the material isn't medical grade for humans. It's unusual. I don't remember getting dressed." Grace guided me to the car like I was made of glass. The drive home was silent, except for my hiccuping sobs. She kept one hand on the wheel, the other rubbing circles on my back. "We're figuring this out," she kept saying. "I promise." When she pulled up to my house, Cade's SUV was in the driveway. Panic clawed my throat. "I can't face him," I choked. "Grace killed the engine." "Then don't. Come to my place. We'll tell him you're helping me with a patient emergency." I nodded numbly and texted Cade some lie about overtime at the hospital. He replied with a heart emoji. A heart emoji. At Grace's apartment, she made tea I didn't drink and sat me on her couch. The cushions still smelled like the lavender candle we bought on our last girls' trip. "Naomi," she said, kneeling in front of me, "we have to investigate. Someone did this to you. While you were out cold." Her voice cracked on the last word. I stared at my hands, still trembling. But who? Cade was the only one there. Even saying it felt wrong, like accusing the sky of being blue. Grace's eyes darkened. "Then we start with him." Quietly, "You trust me?" I nodded, because what else could I do? She pulled out her phone, already scrolling contacts. "I know a guy who can pull medical supply records. We'll trace this polymer." That night, I lay on her guest bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars we'd stuck on the ceiling in college. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that mass pulsing inside me, growing while I slept. My phone buzzed. "Cade, you okay, babe?" "Miss you." I typed back, "Long shift, crashing at Grace's. Love you." Sent it before I could overthink. Grace slipped in, set a glass of water on the nightstand. "Surgery's scheduled for tomorrow," she whispered. "I'll be there the whole time." I wanted to ask how she arranged it so fast, but exhaustion pulled me under. Morning came too soon. Grace drove me to the hospital, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. In pre-op, the nurse asked if I had any allergies. I almost laughed. Yeah, allergic to whatever monster put this thing in me. Dr. Mayer stopped by, clipboard in hand. "Naomi, one more thing," she said quietly. "The way this polymer is positioned, it wasn't random. Someone knew exactly where to place it for maximum adhesion." My blood ran cold. "You mean," she nodded, "if someone did this while you were under anesthesia, then it was intentional." My heart racing, sheets soaked, Dr. Mayer's last words, "If someone did this while you were under anesthesia, then it was intentional," looped in my head the whole ride to the hospital. Grace kept glancing over, asking if I needed water, music, anything. I just stared out the window, counting red lights like rosary beads. Admission was a blur of forms and fluorescent hallways. A nurse with kind eyes wheeled me to pre-op while Grace trailed behind, clutching my purse like a life raft. They hooked me to an IV. The cold drip burned up my arm. Cade texted, "Everything okay?" Grace said, "You're at the hospital?" I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Grace took the phone, typed back, "False alarm, just a bad migraine. Home soon." She showed me the message, eyes hard. "We keep him calm until we know more," she whispered. I nodded, but my stomach flipped. They rolled me into the OR. The anesthesiologist's mask smelled like plastic strawberries. "Count backward from 10, she said. I got to 7 before the ceiling lights smeared into white. I woke up groggy, throat raw, a dull ache low in my belly, like someone had punched me from the inside. Grace was already there, perched on the plastic chair, scrolling her phone with one hand and holding mine with the other. "Hey, Sleepy," she said softly. "Surgery went fine. They got it out." Relief hit first, then the questions. "What was it?" My voice cracked like dry paper. She squeezed tighter. "Dr. Mayer's coming with the results." Dr. Mayer arrived an hour later, lab folder in hand. She pulled the curtain for privacy, sat on the rolling stool. "Naomi, the mass is out. You're stable." I exhaled so hard the monitor beeped. Then she opened the folder. Photos, glossy, clinical, of something gray and veiny, sprawled on a metal tray. It looked like a deflated octopus. "This polymer isn't approved for human use," she started. "It's veterinary grade, designed for large animals. Horses, cattle. It expands with moisture, reshapes to fill space." My mouth went desert dry. "Expands?" She nodded. "It was absorbing your natural fluids, growing, pressing on everything." She flipped to the next page. Microscope slides, red arrows pointing to shredded tissue. "The expansion caused endometrial fibrosis, scar tissue replacing healthy lining. Your uterus is severely damaged." The words landed like bricks. I'd always pictured kids someday. Chubby hands, crayon drawings on my fridge. Now? "How bad?" I whispered. Dr. Mayer's eyes met mine, steady but sad. "Reproduction is highly unlikely. The fibrosis is extensive. The polymer destroyed most functional tissue." Grace made a choked sound. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting cracks instead of sheep. Grace leaned in. "Where does this stuff even come from?" Dr. Mayer closed the folder. "Specialty suppliers for sports rehab. Think joint stabilization in racehorses, tight access. You need credentials, purchase history." My brain snagged on sports rehab. Cade's world. His studio stocked weird gels, foams, things he bragged about, sourcing from cutting-edge vendors. I shook my head, hard enough to hurt. "No, Cade treats people, not animals." But the room felt smaller, air thicker. Grace's thumb rubbed circles on my knuckles. "Who else had access during that sedation?" she asked the doctor. Dr. Mayer hesitated. "Only medical professionals with the right contacts. The insertion required precision. Someone who understands pelvic anatomy." My pulse hammered in my ears. Cade's voice echoed from memory. "Trust me. Love." I'd signed the consent form without reading past the first paragraph. Grace's grip tightened. "Naomi, think. Who was in the room?" I couldn't. The drugs made everything fuzzy. But flashes came. Cade's gloved hands, the soft beep of monitors, his calm instructions to the nurse. Just him and one assistant. Always just him for private clients. My chest tightened until breathing hurt. "He wouldn't," I said, more to myself. "Cade fixes people. He's on panels, teaches seminars." Dr. Mayer's voice cut gentle but firm. "I'm not accusing. I'm stating facts. This material points to someone in his exact field." Grace stood, pacing the tiny space. "We need records, supply logs, who he ordered from." She was already texting, thumbs flying. I wanted to tell her to stop, that this was crazy, but the photos on the tray table stared back at me. That thing had lived inside me for 10 months, growing while I planned dinner parties, while Cade kissed my forehead and called me perfect. He showed up that evening, tie loosened, worry etched deep. The second he walked in, Grace slipped out with a quiet, "I'll grab coffee." Cade took her chair, grabbed my hand. "Babe, what happened? Migraine?" His thumb stroked my knuckles, same motion Grace used, but now it felt wrong. I forced a smile. "Yeah, bad one. Dehydrated." He bought it, kissed my wrist. "Scared me. Next time call, okay?" I nodded, throat closing. His cologne mixed with hospital antiseptic made me nauseous. After he left to handle some paperwork, Grace returned with 2 styrofoam cups. She sat close, voice low. "I pulled strings at the nurse's station. Your chart lists the polymer batch number. I sent it to a contact." Her eyes burned. "Naomi, if Cade ordered this—" I cut her off. "He's my husband. He wouldn't destroy me." The words tasted like ash. She didn't push, just hugged me until the nurse kicked her out for visiting hours. Alone, I pulled the thin blanket to my chin. The ache in my belly was nothing compared to the one blooming in my chest. Cade's face kept flashing, smiling at our wedding, adjusting my posture at parties, whispering I was his masterpiece. Masterpiece. The word twisted now. I grabbed my phone, opened our photos, us at the beach, his arm around me, my stomach flat under a bikini. 10 months ago, right after the treatment, my thumb hovered, then closed the app. Grace texted at midnight. Got a hit. Supplier ships to Cade's clinic. I stared at the screen until it blurred. My husband is a good man. No way. I repeated it like a prayer. But the polymer was gone, and the damage stayed. I curled into a ball, silent tears soaking the pillow. Morning light crept through the blinds. Dr. Mayer did rounds, checked incisions, said I could go home tomorrow. Grace helped me to the bathroom, held my hair while I dry heaved. In the mirror, my eyes looked hollow. We keep digging, she murmured. I nodded, but doubt gnawed louder. Cade brought flowers, white roses, my favorite. He arranged them on the tray, kissed my forehead. Can't wait to have you home. His smile didn't reach his eyes. As he left, Dr. Mayer's voice echoed, then who could have implanted this polymer? If not him. Discharge day smelled like rain and cafeteria coffee. Grace wheeled me out while Cade hovered, holding an umbrella even though the drizzle barely wet the sidewalk. He kept asking if I needed pain meds, a heating pad, anything. His concern felt like a blanket, warm, but suddenly too heavy. I smiled weakly, let him buckle me into the SUV. The whole ride home I stared at the roses he'd brought to the hospital, petals already browning at the edges. Grace dropped us off with a quick hug and a promise to check in later. The house looked the same, soft lighting, my throw pillows arranged just so, but it felt off, like walking into a photo of your life instead of the real thing. Cade carried my bag upstairs, tucked me into bed with extra pillows. Rest, he said, kissing my forehead. His lips lingered a second too long. I closed my eyes until I heard his office door click shut downstairs. The second his footsteps faded, I texted Grace. Can we talk? Alone? She replied instantly. On my way. 20 minutes later, she slipped in the back door, sneakers silent on the hardwood. I met her in the laundry room, door cracked so we could hear if Cade moved. My hands shook as I handed her the discharge papers. Read the part about the polymer source? Her eyes scanned fast, then widened. Sports rehab suppliers? Naomi? I cut her off. I know, but I need to hear it from you. What do we do? Grace folded the papers, tucked them in her pocket. We stay smart. You act normal. I dig quietly. No confronting until we have proof. Her voice was steady, nurse mode. She cupped my face. You're not alone in this. I've got your back, always. Tears pricked, but I blinked them away. Feels like my skin doesn't fit anymore, I whispered. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and hospital soap. We'll get answers. Promise. She left through the garage. I stood there a minute, listening to Cade's muffled voice on a call. Something about phase 2 delays? My stomach twisted. I crept upstairs, changed into leggings and his old college sweatshirt, the one that swallowed me. Comfort armor. When he came up, I was propped against pillows, scrolling Pinterest, like nothing happened. Feeling better? He asked, sitting on the bed's edge. I nodded. Just tired. He brushed hair from my face, studied me too closely. You'd tell me if something was wrong, right? His eyes searched mine. I forced a smile. Of course. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I shifted, the incision pulled, a sharp reminder. Cade breathed deep beside me, one arm draped over my waist like ownership. I waited until his snores steadied, then slipped out of bed. The hallway floorboards knew my weight. They didn't creak. His office door was locked. Knew. He'd never locked it before. I jiggled the handle softly, heart pounding. Back in our room, I found the little key he kept in his nightstand for emergencies. My fingers trembled, fitting it in the lock. The room smelled like him, cedar and that clinical gel he used on clients. His desk was tidy, laptop closed, but a stack of files caught my eye. I didn't touch them. Instead, I watched him through the baby monitor app we used when we dog sat for friends. He was downstairs now, pouring a drink. I had minutes. I opened the bottom drawer, usually empty, and felt something hard. A small external drive, black, no label. I palmed it, hard in my throat, and relocked the door. Back in bed, I waited for his shower. The water ran forever. I plugged the drive into my tablet under the covers, flashlight mode, on low. Folders, client records, research, personal. I clicked research, subfolder, pelvic optimization. My breath caught. 3D models rotated slowly. Female torsos, pelvis highlighted in blue. Notes overlaid. Standardizing the female pelvic structure for enhanced stability. Measurements, angles, something about moisture-responsive fillers. I scrolled faster. Diagrams showed insertion points, expansion rates. One file named NTZO1, my initials. A scan of my own pelvis dated 10 months ago. Bile rose. I yanked the cord, shoved the drive under my pillow. Cade's shower shut off. I lay rigid, eyes closed, until he slid in beside me. His hand found my hip. "Love you," he murmured. I mumbled it back, voice flat. Morning light felt wrong, too bright. Cade made pancakes, extra blueberries, because you need antioxidants. He watched me eat every bite, refilled my orange juice without asking. "Take it easy today," he said, kissing my cheek. "I've got clients, but text if you need anything." His attentiveness used to feel like love. Now it felt like surveillance. The second his car pulled out, I called Grace. "I found something. Can you come?" She arrived with coffee and her laptop. We sat at the kitchen island, drive plugged in. Her face went pale as the models loaded. "This is obsessive," she whispered. She copied everything to a cloud folder, then deleted traces from my tablet. "We need more," she said. "Phone records, supply invoices." I nodded, but my eyes kept drifting to the baby monitor on the counter. Off, but the little green light blinked like it was watching. Cade came home early, arms full of grocery bags and a new heating pad. "Thought this might help the scars," he said, plugging it in. He adjusted the settings himself, laid it across my lap. His fingers lingered on my stomach, pressing gently. "Healing nicely?" I swallowed. "Yeah." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That night, he insisted on changing the dressing, peeling tape slow, inspecting the incision like a project. "Perfect," he murmured. I stared at the ceiling, counting heartbeats. Grace texted at 2 a.m. Supplier confirmed order to Cade's clinic. Batch matches. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Cade's arm tightened around me in sleep. I eased out of bed again, padded to his office. The drive was gone from the drawer. Panic clawed. I checked the safe. Combination, our anniversary. Inside, the drive, plus a folder labeled Phase 2. I didn't open it. Couldn't. I closed the safe, hands shaking so bad I dropped the key twice. Back in bed, I lay awake until dawn. Cade woke first, made coffee, brought it to me in bed. "You look tired," he said, brushing my cheek. "Bad dreams?" I nodded. He kissed my temple. "I'll fix it." The words hung heavy. I watched him dress for work, every motion precise. When he left, I pulled the drive from under my mattress. Wait, no, he took it. Wait, I'd slipped it into my robe pocket last night. It was still there. I stared at the black rectangle in my palm. The 3D models flashed in my mind, my body dissected into data points. Grace's texts burned. Proof, but not enough. Cade's touch lingered like bruises. I was torn between the man who'd carried me over thresholds and the one who'd mapped my insides like blueprints. Then I saw it, tucked beside his laptop, a new external drive. Silver, unlabeled. My fingers closed around it. I plugged it in quick, heart slamming. Folder, standardizing the female pelvic structure. More models, more notes, my name everywhere. Why does my husband have this? What is he doing? I couldn't let go of that silver drive. Why does my husband have this? What is he doing? The question looped while I pretended to nap, Cade's footsteps pacing downstairs. He'd taken the black drive back, but this new one burned in my palm. I waited until he left for a consult at the studio, then locked myself in the guest bathroom. Only room without his cameras for security. Tablet plugged in, headphones on. I opened the folder marked Treatment Archives, a video thumbnail. Me on the table, eyes closed, mask over my face. Date stamped 10 months ago. My finger hovered, then clicked. The camera angle was overhead, clinical lights harsh. Cade's voice, calm. Starting pelvic stabilization. His gloved hands moved out of frame, then back holding a syringe filled with clear gel. He inserted it slow, precise, narrating like a lecture. Polymer will expand to optimal parameters over gestation period. Gestation? I paused, rewound. There, zoom on the tray. The same gray mass Dr. Mayer removed, smaller, shiny. He pushed it in with a long tool, no hesitation. Subject NT compliant. He muttered. Subject. My stomach lurched. I watched him suture, clean, adjust the sheet over me like I was a doll. The video ended with him smiling at the camera. Phase 1, complete. I sat on the cold tile, replaying it until the frames blurred. That smile, I'd seen it at our wedding, but now it looked predatory. My phone buzzed. Grace, you okay? Need anything? I typed back. Fine, resting. The lie tasted bitter. Cade came home early, takeout bags in hand. Thought we'd have a date night in, he said, kissing my cheek. His lips felt wrong, like plastic. I smiled, excused myself to freshen up. In the mirror, my eyes were wild. That night, he said he had errands. Late client reschedule. He kissed me again, longer, hand on my lower back pressing the incision. I waited 10 minutes, grabbed my keys, hoodie up. His SUV turned left at the light. I followed 3 cars back, heart slamming. He didn't go to the studio. He pulled into a quiet suburb, tree-lined, kids' bikes on lawns, a house I didn't recognize. White siding, porch swing, Grace's car in the driveway. My breath stopped. I parked down the block, cut the lights. Through the front window, shadows moved. Cade's silhouette hugged someone smaller. Grace. They disappeared deeper inside. I crept closer, phone recording audio throughly. The side window was cracked. Voices drifted out. I hid behind the hydrangeas, thorns scratching my arms. Cade's voice, low. The polymer's out, but the fibrosis held. She's stable now. A woman laughed, soft, familiar. Took long enough. Once Naomi finishes the new adjustment phase, you'll be the only one who truly fits me. My knees buckled. Grace, her tone playful, intimate. Cade chuckled. Exactly. You're the blueprint. She was just practice. Practice. The word hit like a slap. I bit my fist to stay quiet, tears hot on my cheeks. They moved to the kitchen, light spilling. I edged closer, phone up. Grace leaned on the counter, Cade's hands on her hips. Kids are with the sitter, she said. We have the night. He kissed her neck. Finally. My vision tunneled. I backed away, thorns tearing my sleeve, and ran to my car. The drive home blurred. Red lights, horns, my own sobs choking me. I beat him by 20 minutes, curled on the couch, blanket to my chin. I pretended to sleep. He came in, humming. Smelled like her perfume, vanilla and something floral. He kissed my forehead. Missed you. I mumbled, eyes closed, until his shower started. Then I opened my phone, replayed the audio. Her voice clear. You'll be the only one who truly fits me. Fits, like I was a mold to be filled, discarded. Grace texted at midnight. Sleep well, sis. Call if you need me. I stared at the heart emoji until the screen died. Sis, we'd pinky sworn at 12 to be each other's maids of honor. She'd held my hair when I puked after prom. Now she held my husband and my body. ruined on purpose. Morning light felt poisoned. Cade made eggs, watched me chew. "You seem quiet," he said, thumb stroking my wrist. I pulled away slow. "Just sore?" He nodded, eyes calculating. Grace called while he was in the garage. I answered, voice steady. "Hey," she sounded rushed. "Any weird symptoms? Keep me posted." I said sure, hung up, hands shaking so bad I dropped the phone. I replayed the treatment video again in the laundry room, volume low. Cade's calm insertion, the polymer sliding in like it belonged. Then the audio from last night. Her laugh when he said practice. The pieces fit too perfectly. Grace pushing me to Dr. Mayer, arranging surgery fast, copying files. She wasn't helping. She was monitoring, making sure the adjustment held until they didn't need me anymore. I sat on the washer, head in hands. The betrayal doubled. Husband and best friend, 2 knives in 1 wound. Why prevent pregnancy? Why redesign me at all? The 3D models flashed. My pelvis, optimized. For who? Them? I ugly cried into a towel so he wouldn't hear. Cade knocked. "Babe? Doing laundry?" I wiped my face fast. "Yeah, be out in a sec." He opened the door, leaned on the frame. "You okay?" His eyes scanned me like a scan. I nodded. "Period cramps early." He bought it, kissed my temple. "Let me adjust you later." Adjust? The word made me flinch. That night I lay awake, his arm heavy across me. Grace's voice echoed, "The only one who truly fits me. Fits, like I was a prototype. Flawed." I eased out of bed, padded to the office. The silver drive was gone. Panic surged. I checked the safe. Empty. He'd moved everything. But my phone still had the audio, the video snippet I'd screen recorded. Proof. I curled on the guest bed, blanket over my head. The woman who'd planned my wedding, cried with me over breakups, now planned my obsolescence. Cade's hands that fixed my back now broke my future. I sobbed until my ribs hurt, muffling screams in the pillow. Dawn crept gray. Cade kissed me goodbye for work. "Love you." I echoed it, voice hollow. The door clicked. I sat up, eyes swollen. They planned this from the start. But why me? I woke up the next morning with the plan already locked in my head. They planned this from the start. But why me? That question fueled every fake smile. Cade leaned over the bed, coffee in hand. "Morning, beautiful. Sleep okay?" I stretched, yawned, let my voice go soft. "Better with you here." He beamed, kissed my cheek, and I swallowed the bile. I spent the day playing house, folded his laundry, left a sticky note on his protein shaker. "Miss you already." He texted hearts back. Inside, I was ice. Grace came over for coffee and ketchup. I hugged her tight, smelled Cade on her skin, and smiled wider. "You're a lifesaver," I said, squeezing her hand. She squeezed back, eyes searching. "Any pain?" I shook my head. "Healing great. Thanks to you." We sipped from matching mugs while I memorized the way her laugh hitched when she lied about her night shift. She left with another hug and a promise to call. The door clicked. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for years. That afternoon, I drove to a strip mall coffee shop 2 towns over. Henry sat in the corner booth. 50s, salt and pepper beard, quiet eyes. I slid him an envelope. Cash, the audio file, the treatment video snippet. "Find everything, but don't spook them," I whispered. He nodded once. 2 weeks, max. I paid extra for discretion. Driving home, the city blurred. I felt the shift. Victim to hunter. Days bled into routine. I cooked Cade's favorite salmon, wore the silk nightie he loved, laughed at his stories. He touched me more, hand on my thigh under the table, fingers tracing my scar through my shirt. Perfect healing. He murmured. I leaned into it, bile rising. Grace texted daily. "You good? Need anything?" I sent selfies from the couch, thumbs up. She replied with emojis. I saved everyone. Henry called on day 10. "Meet me, same place." I told Cade I had a client consult. He kissed me goodbye, eyes lingering. Henry slid a folder across the table. Photos first. Cade and Grace at a park, pushing swings. 2 boys, 1 girl with Grace's curls. Birth certificates. Ethan, 7, Liam, 5, Ava, 3. All listed Cade as father, Grace as mother. A house deed in Grace's name. Mortgage paid by Cade's LLC. School records. Daycare drop-offs. Cade's signature. My hands shook so hard the photos rattled. "There's more," Henry said. "Bank transfers. Thousands monthly. Vacation photos. Disney. The beach. Family of 5. I flipped to a picture of the kids asleep in a bed shaped like a race car. My chest caved. They had the life I daydreamed about while picking out crib sketches I never showed Cade. "He's been building this for years," Henry said quietly. "You were the roadblock." Roadblock, the word lodged like shrapnel. I paid him the second half, added a bonus. "Keep digging. I need more." He nodded. That night, I ordered tiny cameras online. Smoke detector, clock, picture frame. They arrived in plain boxes while Cade was at the studio. I installed them, shaking. 1 in the living room, 1 in his office, 1 in our bedroom. The app linked to my phone, motion alerts only. I tested angles, deleted the footage of me crying in the closet. First alert came at 2 a.m. Cade slipped out of bed, phone to his ear. I pretended sleep, cracked one eye. He paced the hallway, voice low. "She's buying it. Scars fading nicely." Grace's laugh filtered through. "Good. Kids miss Daddy." He whispered something I couldn't catch, then, "Soon." He crawled back in, arm over me like a chain. I waited until his breathing evened, then checked the office cam. He'd opened the safe, pulled files, locked it again. The bedroom feed showed him watching me sleep, fingers brushing my hair. I felt violated in real time. Next morning, I made pancakes, extra smiley faces with blueberries. Grace dropped by unannounced, said she was in the neighborhood. The kid's toys peeked from her tote. A dinosaur, a doll. My stomach twisted. We sat on the porch. She bounced Ava's doll on her knee. "Thinking of trying soon?" she asked, eyes on my stomach. I forced a laugh. "Maybe." She hugged me goodbye. Doll left on the swing. I stared at it until Cade came home. That night, the office cam pinged. Cade at his desk, Grace on speaker. I watched live, volume low. "Polymer held perfectly," he said, spinning a 3D model on screen. My pelvis labeled. "Fibrosis irreversible. She'll never carry." Grace's voice. "Then we're clear?" He leaned back. "I only fixed you to make you better. That way you suit men like us more. You're just a woman. That part of you needed to be renewed anyway. You should be grateful," he said to the model, but it felt aimed at me. Wait, no, he was talking to Grace. "Naomi was the prototype. You're the final build." Prototype. The word punched air from my lungs. I muted the feed, hands over my mouth. The living room cam showed him later, pouring wine, toasting the empty room. 2 obstacles removed? He drank deep. I sat in the dark, phone glowing, realizing I wasn't a wife. I was a stepping stone. The kids' faces flashed. Ethan's gap-toothed grin, Liam's freckles, Ava's curls. A family built while I bled in secret. Henry texted photos. Cade picking up the boys from soccer, Grace kissing him in the school parking lot. Another life? Parallel? Perfect. I forwarded everything to a new email. Password protected. The cameras kept rolling. Bedroom feed. Cade tracing my scar in sleep, whispering, "Almost done." I stopped flinching. Started planning. Morning light felt sharp. Cade kissed me goodbye, coffee breath and lies. "Love you." I echoed it, watched his taillights disappear. The office cam showed the safe open, files labeled NT disposal. Disposal, I zoomed in, heart stopping, my name crossed out in red. Beneath, Grace's pelvis scan, labeled optimal. Your body was just his blueprint. The sentence clung to me like sweat while I ironed Cade's favorite blue shirt, folded it neat, left it on the dresser with a note. "Wear this tonight. Love you." He texted back a thumbs up and a heart. I stared at the screen until it dimmed, then slipped the burner phone Henry gave me into my purse. 7:42 p.m.? He kissed me at the door, gym bag slung over his shoulder. Late session with a client. He lied, smooth as silk. I smiled, touched his cheek. "Don't forget your water bottle." He didn't notice my fingers trembled. Henry waited 2 blocks over in a gray rental, engine idling low. I slid into the passenger seat, hoodie up. "Kids are with the sitter," he said, pulling away. "House is empty except for them." We drove in silence, city lights streaking past. My stomach churned. Part fear, part fury. Grace's house appeared at the end of Willow Lane, porch light glowing like a lie. Cade's SUV already sat crooked in the driveway, door still ajar. Henry killed the headlights. Binoculars in the glove box. We parked under a maple, leaves rustling overhead. Through the windshield, I watched Cade jog up the steps, wine bottle swinging. Grace opened the door in a silk robe, the color of old bruises. They kissed before the threshold, slow, practiced, the kind of kiss that says, "We've done this 1,000 times." My nails dug half moons into my palms. Henry's camera clicked softly, red light blinking. "Steady," he whispered. I nodded, but my pulse hammered in my ears. They disappeared inside. Living room curtains glowed amber. Henry and I crept out, shoes crunching on gravel. The side window was cracked 2 inches, summer habit. Candlelight flickered across the den walls. Grace poured wine. Cade shrugged off his jacket, rolled his shoulders like he was shedding a skin. She laughed at something he said, touched his chest. My throat closed. Henry nudged me toward the hedge, closer for audio. We crouched behind azaleas, thorns snagging my sleeve. Inside, robes hit the floor. Grace straddled him on the couch, hair spilling over bare shoulders. Cade's hands mapped her hips, her back, the curve of her waist, every inch memorized. I bit my lip until copper bloomed. Henry's lens zoomed. The shutter sounded like gunfire in my head. Grace leaned down, whispered something that made Cade groan. They moved to the rug, wine glasses forgotten, bodies tangled in the dim glow. My breath fogged the phone screen as I recorded audio, muffled moans, the creak of floorboards, Grace's laugh when he kissed her neck. Henry tapped my arm. "Enough?" I shook my head. Not yet. I needed them, undeniable. Sirens were my ace, but timing had to be perfect. They rolled again, Grace on top, head thrown back. Cade's voice drifted through the crack. "Kid's asleep by 9 tomorrow. We'll tell her then." Grace's reply was breathy. "Finally." My vision tunneled. Tell her. Tell me what? That I was obsolete? I backed away slow. Thorns, tearing fabric. Henry followed. In the car, I dialed 911 on the burner, voice pitched high and panicked. "There's a break-in at 1427 Willow Lane. I heard glass. I think someone's inside." The operator asked questions. I fed her half-truths. Address. Urgency. "Please, hurry." I hung up, hands shaking so hard the phone slipped. Henry gripped the wheel. 2 minutes out. Sirens wailed closer, red-blue lights painting the trees. I counted heartbeats. Officers swarmed. 4, then 6. Front door splintered under a battering ram. Shouts. "Police! Hands where we can see them!" Grace screamed, high and sharp. Cade cursed, voice cracking. Flashlights pinned them mid-act, naked, scrambling. Wine spilling like blood across the rug. "On the ground!" "Now!" Cuffs snapped. Grace sobbed, clutching a pillow to her chest. Cade's face twisted. Shock, then rage when he spotted the broken window. Showtime. I burst from the hedge, phone flashlight blazing, hair wild from the thorns. "Grace? Grace, what's happening?" My voice cracked perfect. Confused neighbor, terrified friend. An officer spun, hand on holster. "Ma'am, step back!" I stumbled forward, eyes wide. "That's my husband, Cade, Cade!" His head snapped toward me, mouth open. "Naomi?" Grace went ghost white, pillow slipping. I let tears spill hot and fast. "You here? With her?" My knees buckled, half act, half truth. The ground rushed up. Henry caught me, shouting, "She's fainting! Call medics!" Paramedics swarmed, stretcher wheels rattling. I let my eyes flutter, mumbled Cade's name like a question broken in half. They lifted me, oxygen mask cool against my lips. Cade lunged in cuffs, roaring, "That's my wife! Let me—" A cop shoved him back into the cruiser. Grace wailed my name, but it sounded like static. The ambulance ride was a blur, sirens, beeps, a paramedic asking if I hit my head. I whispered, "Chest pain, dizzy?" Lies layered thick. At the ER, they wheeled me past curtained chaos. Dr. Mayer's name glowed on the nurse's station board, on call. I almost smiled. Henry texted from the waiting room. "Cops have them separated?" Evidence drop at 600. I closed my eyes, let real tears come. Nurses poked, prodded, asked about recent surgery. I confessed between sobs. The polymer, the mystery procedure, the affair I'd just discovered. They ordered scans, blood work, stat. Dr. Mayer appeared, scrubs rumpled, eyes widening at my chart. She pulled the curtain. "Naomi?" I grabbed her wrist. "They did this to me. Please, check everything." Her face hardened. She nodded once. Cade's voice echoed from intake, demanding his wife, his rights, a lawyer. Officers blocked the hall. Grace cried in the next bay, curtain half open, begging. It was consensual, consensual. The word twisted like a blade. My scan lit the screen. Scar tissue spiderwebbing where my future should have been. Dr. Mayer's voice to the detective. "Permanent damage. Assault with intent." Notes flew. Reports sealed. Henry slipped in wearing a visitor badge, handed me a coffee I didn't drink. Police took statements. "Your cameras, my photos, the treatment video, package locked." I squeezed his hand. "Thank you." He vanished before Cade's lawyer arrived. They kept me overnight, for observation. Cade paced the hall in cuffs, shouting my name until security threatened contempt. Grace refused eye contact when they wheeled her past for processing. I lay still, monitors beeping my heartbeat. Steady, cold, victorious. Morning light crept through blinds. A detective sat bedside, gentle questions. I played the devastated wife. Tears, gasps, the works. He said he was working late. I followed because I missed him. Sobs choked the rest. She patted my shoulder. "We'll need your full records." I nodded. "Anything." Dr. Mayer returned with discharge papers and a sealed envelope. Official report, stamped evidence. "This goes straight to the DA," she said quietly. I hugged her, whispered thanks. Henry waited outside, car idling. As they loaded me into a wheelchair, Cade lunged from a side room, cuffs rattling. "Naomi, tell them it's a mistake." His eyes wild, desperate. I met them ice cold. "I don't know you anymore." The door slid shut. Sirens faded behind us. Henry drove slow. "Hospital records triggered the chain," he said. "Your body's truth speaks now." I leaned back, exhaustion bone deep. At the hospital, the truth about Naomi's body will surface on its own. The ambulance door swung open, and the gurney rolled me into the ER chaos. Fluorescent lights buzzing, antiseptic stinging my nose, monitors screaming in the distance. The paramedics rattled off vitals to a triage nurse who took one look at my tear-streaked face and the fresh scar peeking from under my shirt and barked, "Bay 3 now." They slid me onto a bed, curtains whipping shut. A young resident with kind eyes asked, "What happened?" I let the sobs come real. I fainted. My husband, he was with another woman. And my stomach, something's wrong inside. She lifted my shirt, frowned at the pink incision. "This recent?" I nodded. 10 days. They removed something. Polymer. Her pen froze. Polymer? Blood pressure cuff squeezed. IV needle bit. The resident ordered a full panel. Abdominal ultrasound. Stat. Cold gel hit my skin. The wand pressed hard. The screen bloomed in grayscale. My uterus a ruined map. Scar tissue thick as cobwebs. The tech's face went slack. Doctor needs to see this immediately. She printed images, rushed out. I lay staring at the ceiling tiles, counting water stains, while my heart hammered the monitor into a frantic drum. Dr. Suri Mayer appeared 20 minutes later, white coat flapping, glasses slipping down her nose. She took one look at the scans and pulled the curtain tight. Naomi, the fibrosis is worse than we thought. The polymer caused endometrial destruction, complete loss of reproductive capacity. Her voice stayed steady, but her eyes flashed anger. This wasn't accidental. The placement, the material, criminal. I gripped the bed rails. My husband did the original procedure, under sedation. She inhaled sharp. We're reporting this to the police right now. A detective, Ruiz, badge gleaming, arrived within the hour, notebook ready. She sat on the plastic chair, voice gentle. Start from the beginning. Mrs. Trent. I spilled everything between hiccups. The pain Cade dismissed. The pelvic tune-up, waking up wrong, Grace pushing me to Dr. Mayer, the affair I'd just discovered. Ruiz's pen never stopped. Dr. Mayer slid the old removal report across the tray table, added the new scans. Veterinary-grade polymer, non-consensual insertion, permanent sterilization, clear assault. Ruiz's jaw tightened. We'll need the full file, chain of custody. Dr. Mayer nodded. Sealed and ready. Henry texted from the parking garage. Package at security desk. Tell them it's for Detective Ruiz. I whispered to the nurse. Minutes later, Henry's thick envelope sat on my lap. USB drives, printed photos, supplier invoices, the treatment video labeled NTs01. I handed it to Ruiz. Everything my investigator collected. She flipped through, Cade inserting the polymer while I slept, 3D pelvic models stamped with my initials, bank transfers to Grace's account, texts where she wrote, "Make sure she can't breed." Problem solved. Ruiz's eyes narrowed. This is a conspiracy. Down the hall, Cade's voice boomed. Cuffed, furious, demanding his wife. Naomi, tell them it's a misunderstanding. Security wrestled him into an interrogation room. Grace wailed from another bay, curtain half open, hospital gown slipping off one shoulder. It was his idea. I just suggested the polymer, she cried to a uniform. I thought it would dissolve. The officer's reply was ice. You thought wrong. Conspiracy to commit bodily harm. Grace's sobs turned frantic. I want a lawyer. Dr. Mayer returned with a freshly printed report. Official, stamped evidence. This details the implant, the damage, the intent. It's going straight to the DA. She hesitated, touched my arm. Naomi, you'll need follow-up surgery, counseling, possibly hysterectomy. I'm sorry. I swallowed hard. Just make sure they can't hurt anyone else. She nodded, left with Ruiz and 2 evidence techs. Henry slipped in wearing a visitor badge, coffee in hand. Studio raids live. Cops found the polymer stash in a locked cabinet, labeled NT prototype. Your initials. My stomach lurched. Prototype. The word echoed from the video. Cade's calm voice narrating while he ruined me. Henry continued. Grace's phone dump shows she researched the infertility side effect first. Texts to Cade. If Naomi can't have kids, she's out of the picture. Out of the picture? Like I was a smudge on their perfect family photo. Alarms blared. Cade trying to bolt. Officers tackled him in the hallway, cuffs clinking. It was medical. She consented, he roared. A detective's voice cut through. Consent for experimental veterinary material? Try again, Grace screamed from her bay. Cade, shut up. Too late. Ruiz read charges loud enough for the whole ER to hear. Aggravated assault, conspiracy, practicing medicine without consent, possession of controlled substances. Cade's denials turned to threats. Grace dissolved into hysterics. Henry sat beside me, voice low. Kids are with social services. Safe. Studios sealed, licenses flagged for revocation. I closed my eyes, monitors beeping my heartbeat. Steady now, cold. Dr. Mayer signed discharge papers. You're stable. Officers will escort you home. Home. The word tasted like ash. Media vans circled the exit. Henry guided me out a service door, into his rental. Both in holding. No bail. Flight risk with offshore accounts. I stared at the city lights blurring past. Neon signs, late-night walkers, life moving, while mine shattered and rebuilt in the same breath. Grace as mastermind. Her idea, her sabotage, her texts pushing Cade to perfect me out of existence. Cade the hands, Grace the architect. At the house, new locks gleamed. Henry handed me keys. Cameras disabled, cloud copies safe. I hugged him tight, whispered thanks. Inside, the silence pressed heavy, Cade's cologne lingering, Grace's laugh in the walls. I collapsed on the couch, envelope of duplicates on the coffee table. The treatment video thumbnail stared back, me unconscious, him smiling like an artist. Morning brought detectives with boxes. Warrants crisp. I handed over drives. The silver one from his safe printed chats. Everything's here. They nodded, sealed bags. Ruiz called later. Arraignment tomorrow. Both denied bail. Too many assets, too many lies. I exhaled, shaky. Lies. The word fit them like tailored suits. Night fell thick. I sat in the dark, wine untouched. Cade's voice echoed, I only fixed you. Grace's. Problem solved. Fixed. Solved. Lies stacked like evidence bags. Henry texted, kids in temporary care, therapists on site. My heart cracked for them, then hardened. They weren't mine to save. Both are taken into custody awaiting trial. The final truth will only be revealed in court. I whispered that to myself every morning for 6 months, brushing my teeth while staring at a face that looked like mine but felt borrowed. Henry drove me to the courthouse on day 1. Gray skies, reporters already camped on the steps with cameras and coffee breath. I wore the navy suit I'd bought for client pitches, hair in a low knot, no jewelry except the simple watch my mom gave me at graduation. Henry squeezed my shoulder. Breathe. I did, but it felt like inhaling glass. Inside, the air was thick with polished oak and tension. Dr. Mayer sat, front row left, arms crossed, eyes steady. Detective Ruiz stood behind the prosecutor, folders stacked like armor. Cade and Grace were already at the defense table, orange jumpsuits, harsh under fluorescent lights. Cade's hair had gone grayer in lockup. Grace's was pulled back severe, no makeup. When Cade's gaze found me, it flickered. Plea, then defiance. Grace stared at the table, knuckles white. The bailiffs, all rise, cracked like a starter pistol. Opening statements set the tone. Prosecutor Alvarez laid it out cold. This is not a love triangle gone wrong. This is calculated bodily assault, conspiracy, and theft of autonomy. She clicked the remote. The treatment video filled the screen. Me sedated. Cade's gloved hands sliding the polymer in. Voice clinical. Subject NT compliant. Expansion phase initiates within 48 hours. The courtroom gasped as one. Cade's lawyer jumped. Objection, consent form, but Judge Harlan overruled. The form lists pelvic realignment, not experimental veterinary implant. Sit down. Doctor. Mayer took the stand first. White coat swapped for a charcoal blazer. She pointed to blown-up scans, the polymer's jagged edges, my uterus shredded by fibrosis. Non-human material, illegal insertion, zero disclosure. Result, irreversible infertility, chronic pain, infection risk. Cross tried to twist, prior complaints of pelvic pain. Cade's innovative reputation. Mayer didn't flinch. Innovation requires consent and ethics. He had neither. The jury leaned forward, faces hardening. Lab tech followed. Polymer batch traced to Cade's studio. Purchase order in his name, hidden in a locked drawer labeled Research Private. Henry's evidence photos flashed next. Cade and Grace in the park, pushing swings. 3 kids calling them Mom and Dad. Birth certificates. Ethan, Liam, Ava. All Cade's signature. Bank transfers. Thousands monthly from Cade's LLC to Grace's account. Texts scrolled slow. Grace to Cade. Implant tonight. She'll be out cold. Sterility guaranteed. Cade's reply. Perfect. Phase 1 complete. The room went still enough to hear pens scratch. Damage phase hit hardest. Dr. Mayer returned with updated scans. Fibrosis worse. Possible hysterectomy looming. Naomi Trent will never carry a pregnancy. The psychological toll is profound. Hospital psych eval. PTSD, trust annihilation. I gripped the bench, nails carving crescents. Cade whispered frantically to counsel. Grace finally looked up, eyes red but dry. Grace's testimony crumbled under pressure. Prosecutor played her phone dump, her researching the polymer first, texting Cade, "If she can't breed, she's irrelevant." Grace stammered. "I was joking." More texts. "Push her to the sedation. She trusts you." Alvarez leaned in. "You masterminded the infertility angle?" Grace broke. "He twisted everything." "But the chain was clear," she suggested. "Sourced, sabotaged." Cade's face went purple. Cade's turn was theater. He denied it all, called the polymer cutting-edge therapy, claimed I begged for relief. The video looped his calm narration, his smile. His voice cracked only once. She was flawed. Pelvic misalignment since college. Flawed. The word landed like a slap. Grace hissed from her seat. "Tell them the truth." He shot her a look that could kill. Jury eyes turned to ice. Victim impact. My moment. I walked to the stand on legs that felt borrowed, but my voice didn't shake. The room blurred until only the jury remained. They treated my body like a personal project, not like a human being. I laid it bare, the pain he dismissed as stress, the trust I handed over with a signature, the future he erased while I slept. I wanted children someday. Messy fingerprints, bedtime stories. They stole that choice to build their own family. I looked at Cade. "You called me flawed. Grace called me irrelevant. I was your wife, your sister." Tears fell, but I let them. "You redesigned me to disappear. I'm still here." She, defense closing, grasped at straws. Character witnesses, marital stress, consent confusion. The jury didn't buy it. Deliberation, 3 hours, 22 minutes. Guilty on every count. Judge Harlan's gavel echoed like freedom. Cade Trent, Grace Ellison, 20 years each, no parole eligibility, licenses revoked permanently, civil restitution to Naomi Trent, $2 million for medical, emotional, reproductive harm. Cade lunged, roaring my name. Bailiffs tackled him. Grace collapsed, sobbing into her hands. I stood frozen, Henry's hand steady on my back. Outside, cameras flashed. I ignored them, walked straight to Dr. Mayer. She hugged me tight. "It's done." Not quite, but the chains snapped. Reporters shouted questions. Henry guided me to the car. The city blurred past. Same streets, new eyes. The court sentences them both to 20 years in prison. Guys, I'm sitting here in my little loft kitchen, Lily finally down for her nap, and I keep asking myself that same question you might be wondering right now. The answer didn't come in one big moment. It came in tiny ones, like puzzle pieces I had to hunt for in the dark. The first month after the sentencing, I barely left the old house. I'd walk room to room, touching the walls we'd painted together, the couch where he used to pull me close. Everything smelled like him, like us. I sold it fast, listed it on a Tuesday, accepted an offer by Friday. Henry helped load the truck with just 3 boxes: my clothes, my laptop, and the soft gray throw blanket from our movie nights. I left the rest for strangers to sort. The drive to the new loft felt like crossing a border. High ceilings, exposed brick, windows that actually open. I hung one picture first, me at 25, laughing on a beach. No Kate in the frame. Mornings became ritual. Coffee on the balcony while the city woke up. Horns, birds, the rumble of the subway under my feet. I rebranded as a freelance design consultant the week the divorce finalized. No office, no boss, just me and my tablet. First client was a small boutique hotel downtown. The owner loved my lived-in chic vibe. Word spread. Soon I was juggling virtual meetings, mood boards, late-night sketches. I set my own hours, turned down anything that felt controlling. The scar still ached on damp days, a low throb like a warning. But I scheduled physical therapy twice a week and talked to a counselor every Thursday. The pain was there, sure, but it didn't get the final say anymore. One rainy afternoon, I was supposed to be sourcing tiles for a cafe redo, but I ended up on an adoption agency website. I'd bookmarked it months earlier, half joking. A photo stopped me cold. A 3-month-old girl, abandoned at a fire station. Dark curls, huge eyes, tiny fists clenched like she was already fighting for her place in the world. The caseworker had named her Lily. Temporary. Something cracked open in my chest, raw and hopeful. I called before I could overthink. Paperwork took forever. Home studies, references, the restitution money smoothing a few edges. Doubt screamed loud. You can't even lift a gallon of milk without wincing. How will you carry a car seat? But Lily's photo went on the fridge, and every time I opened the door for creamer, she stared back, daring me to try. The day they placed her in my arms, the social worker smiled soft. She's yours now. Lily smelled like baby shampoo and possibility. She gripped my finger so tight, I laughed through tears in the parking lot. Nights were brutal, colic at 2 a.m., bottles, rocking until my arms shook. But I learned her language, the hungry cry, the sleepy whimper, the giggle when I kissed her belly. I turned the spare room into a nursery. Pale yellow walls, a mobile of paper stars I cut myself, a crib I assembled at midnight with YouTube and swear words. No one told me how to do bedtime. I figured it out, one lullaby at a time. Weekends we explored the park, Lily in the carrier, her warm weight against my chest. Some days the old pain hit hard, phantom cramps, nightmares of gloved hands and polymer sliding in. I'd wake gasping, but her soft snores through the monitor pulled me back. Therapy unpacked the betrayal layer by layer. A support group connected me to women who'd been controlled, erased, rebuilt. I wasn't fixed. Scars don't vanish. But I was healing on my terms. A year slipped by in snapshots. First steps in the hallway, first word. Mama melted me into a puddle. First birthday with a smash cake that ended in blue frosting from head to toe. My business boomed. I hired Mia, a sharp assistant who handled emails, so I could chase Lily around the loft. The space filled with life, crayon art taped to brick, tiny shoes by the door, photos of us everywhere. I locked the door at night, not from fear, but because it was my choice. Some evenings, after Lily crashed with her stuffed bunny, I'd set up my phone on the kitchen counter, ring light soft. The blog started anonymous, posts about betrayal, rebuilding, the ache that never fully leaves. Subscribers grew, comments poured in from women in their own storms. After the trial, I went public, face and name attached. Tonight felt like closure. I hit record, Lily's monitor glowing beside me. Hey, beautiful people, it's me, Naomi, 33 now, 1 year post-gavel. I panned slow to the living room. Drawings, toys, our life in color. Kate and Grace are gone. 20 years, no contact. The money helps with diapers and therapy, but it doesn't buy back what they stole. Some nights the pain still wakes me, the scar pulls, the what-ifs whisper. But look around. I smiled, real this time. This is mine. I built it. Tears welled, but I let them fall. They tried to redesign me, erase my choices, but I chose Lily, this home, this freedom. The old ache twinged, familiar now. The hurt lingers. Yeah, it's part of the story, but it doesn't write the ending. I leaned closer, voice soft. My body used to be his experiment, but my life, from now on, belongs only to me. I stopped recording, uploaded raw. Comments flooded. You're incredible. Thank you. I'm starting over too. Lily stirred. I scooped her up, warm and heavy with sleep. We rocked in the glider, city lights twinkling outside. The pain was there, a quiet passenger. But I held the wheel. Did you like my story? What city are you from? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this touched you, support me with super thanks so I can keep telling stories like this. Thank you so much for your amazing support. I look forward to your comments. On screen, you'll see 2 new real-life stories I highly recommend. There are tons more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. With all love and respect,